Welcome, Transformer fans. My name is Composite Enerjoe, and today I'll be bringing you my review of the. Gotta be careful here. Of the Transformers Cybertron Deluxe Class Override. More specifically, this is the GTS repaint of Override, which came out towards the end of the Cybertron toy line. And here she is in her alt mode, which is a very fast-looking sort of would I say Cybertronian? I guess Cybertronian-esque race car. And it looks very cool. I actually prefer this overall color scheme more than her original one. And that's why I ended up getting this version of Override instead of the original. Its paint scheme is not show accurate. The sculpt is pretty show accurate, but the color scheme is not. But I think this should have been the one that's seen in the show. I really like this. I really do. Now, I'm handling this very carefully because Override here, as I think either the only figure in the Cybertron line or one of the only figures that has an auto-morphing gimmick, where if you push this button, it auto-transforms her lower half. So I'm being very careful here because it's a bit of a hair trigger. So as you can see, she does roll quite well. I don't know if that hair triggerness is that sensitivity on the spring is present in the original version, but on this one, I have to be very careful here. But yeah, as you can see, she does roll quite well. And yeah, overall, it's a pretty cool looking vehicle mode. Very, very space agey. She does come with a cyber key, and this very familiar looking cyber key is hers. I think the gold border. Usually, cyber keys have a silver border on them. This one is gold. I think it's either because of one of two reasons. One, because they just repainted this as well as along with this repaint, or, and I think this is what it really is, that because Override here is the leader of the Speed Planet in the show, she gets her own special golden cyber key instead of a standard silver one. So yeah, that's her vehicle mode, which is very cool. It's clearly just a space race car. There's nothing more I can really say about it. It does look really cool. I think I've read somewhere that it kind of resembles the Batmobile, and I kind of see it, but not really. I mean, maybe there's like a version of the Batmobile that kind of that this kind of looks like that kind of looks similar to this, but I don't really see it. So yeah, to show off the cyber key power, you just plug it in back here. Okay. And it pops out these two laser cannons, which is really cool. A bit on the smaller side for me, but they were that size in the show. So just plug them back in carefully. Okay, now we get on with transformation, which I'm gonna hopefully I can do this in order. Can I not pop that out yet? I guess I can't pop that out yet. Oh well. Now let me show you it's one sort of spring-loaded automorph. When you push this button, this entire assembly sort of pops down. All right, here goes. Okay, that pops up, and the arms. Oh, well, it's been a while since I've transformed this figure. I could have sworn it was the bottom half that did it, but yes. The entire thing flips out, revealing the head and popping out the arms. Again, on mine, it's a very sensitive hair trigger. It's the darn thing's on a hair trigger, so just be careful. So be careful when messing with it in vehicle mode. All right, so for the legs, that's it for the torso. I got the halves wrong. Just pop these out, bring this up, and then peg this into here. And then for the legs, you bring them close, like so. And because of this automorph, the transformation is almost insultingly simple. Flip out the heels, and that's it. That is Override transformation. Very simple. In this case, usually I don't mind automorphing gimmicks. I'm not a huge fan of this one because again, my experience is just with this figure, and it's a bit on the sensitive side. So it's a pain when you're transforming, it just goes off on its own. So you have to like be very gentle with it while transforming. Yeah. Other than that, like, I'm not a huge fan of the transformation because I think it's way too simple. I would have preferred, instead of that, just a traditional, you know, you going in and transforming it yourself. I was never a big fan of the automorphing because that takes away kind of the charm of it. The whole point of you yourself transforming it. The puzzle aspect of Transformers. But yeah, here she is in her robot mode, and she is a little bulkier in the chest anyway. And I mean that like that her actual shoulders are broader than it should be in the show. If I remember correctly, she was a lot slimmer in the show. But this is a toy, and it's an over 14 years old. Yeah, as of the time of this recording, this figure is about 14 years old. Woof, how time flies. But yeah, her frame is a little bigger than it is on the show. But that aside, it is fairly accurate. Not counting the paint schemes, this is an alternate repaint. This is an alternate color scheme. Get a close in on the head sculpt, which is very nice. Oh, I don't know if I can get that in frame. It's a very nice looking head sculpt. Unfortunately, I think articulation-wise, the head does not move, and that's mainly due to the way that this transforms. Again, I hate gimmicks that restrict movement, but yeah, the head does not move. It kind of wiggles, but it's stuck in place due to the transformation. Well, I'm going into articulation now. The arms go 360 in and out. Swivel. There's a swivel there and a bend at the elbow. So yeah, the arms have articulation, even though they're a bit on the short side. The legs are these ball joints? Yeah, they're ball joints. So ball joints there, swivel at the thigh, bend at the knee, little bit of toe action, and it can go out that far. And that's it. So yeah, she has articulation, but due to the whole automorphing gimmick, she is quite top heavy, so she's kind of difficult to pose. She has a tendency of falling over backwards. And her weapon, and to show off the cyber key power again, you go in here and you pop this off, and you put this back. And now with this not present, you plug this in back here, like so. And that's how you do it without her weapon, which is this thing, which you just plug into any hand. You plug into her hand. Plug into her hand. There we go. You plug into her hand, and this was also seen on the show. Cyber key power up. You do the cyber key power, and boom, twin cannons. A little warped on mine, I think, due to age, but yeah. And this is her twin super blaster thing from the show, which is pretty cool. Again, I feel that it's a little underwhelming for what these cyber keys are portrayed to do, but it's good enough, and it is show accurate. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Override here. Overall, it's a nice little figure. I'm not a huge fan of the automorphing. I would have preferred if they just take that out and just have her transform normally. Because the transformation, I think it is too quick for my liking anyway. It's not bad, and I don't know if all figures have that sensitivity with that automorphing thing. Just be aware when you're trying to put it back into car mode, it might not want to work with you. Now, for size comparisons, here is Ratchet, and as you can see, she is a deluxe class, but she is noticeably bigger than Ratchet here, which is surprising. And then we have a Cliff Jumper. And there's your sizes. So she's actually a little bigger than a more modern, standard-ish deluxe class. And yeah, overall, I like the figure. I think I like the character more in the show than I do the figure. But, like I said, it's a nice little it's a neat little toy. It's not too bad, and I think it's the only one in the Cybertron toy line that did this automorphing gimmick. I don't think any other figure really did it. Or if they did, it was part of the cyber key, which is, harmless. And I guess the last fact to end on is This is referred to as the GTS repaint. What does GTS stand for? I have no idea. I did a little, I sort of looked into it a little bit, and I just couldn't find out what the GTS stood for in these repaints. But using a little bit of deductive reasoning here, the only figures that got the GTS repaints were all from the Speed Planet. So you had Override, I think Breakdown, and Ransack were the other ones that had GTS repaints. And I'm just assuming that what the GTS could possibly stand for is some type of like special race for the Speed Planet. Like, if it was a C, it would make more sense for me to say there's the Global Transformer Circuit, or Global Transformer Speedway, or the Grand Transformer Speedway, or something. I kind of feel like that's what the GTS stands for, that this is just a big race for them on the Speed Planet. That's my theory anyway. I didn't look too much into it, but the little research I did do, I couldn't find what the GTS stood for. But apparently, Override here, the GTS was sort of a last-minute switch, because they were originally going to call this version of Override Double Clutch. And I think the other GTS repaints were similar situations, that they were originally going to be different characters. But at the last minute, they switched them back to the original, what the original characters, the original mold characters were, and just added the GTS on them. So my theory is that the GTS stands for some kind of race. Because, you know, only the Speed Planet characters got these repaints with GTS. And that's it. Overall, it's a neat little toy. Like I said, not too big on the automorphing gimmick, but the robot mode and the vehicle modes are pretty cool. So yeah, this has been my review of the Transformers Deluxe class. This Transformer Cybertron Deluxe class Override. This is about Override GTS edition. This is Composite Enerjoe signing off. Peace out.